Aaron, challenging course today. This car is already a handful as it is, I'm sure. Tell us what it was like to get to the summit today.
I'm not sure that I used much the throttle, considering the truck makes,
Aaron Kaufman was the heart of Fast and Loud for 6 years. Fans watched him build impossible cars in impossible time. But in 2017, he walked away from millions. What viewers didn't see was the real reason. Behind the cameras, something had gone terribly wrong between him and Richard Rawlings. Money was involved, creative control was stolen, and Aaron discovered he was training his own replacement. The final betrayal happened during a dangerous truck build that nearly cost someone their life. What he did next shocked everyone at Discovery Channel. Aaron Kaufman was born on January 26, 1982, in Crowley, Texas. He didn't grow up with much. His father, David Gerald Kaufman, worked 12-hour days as a mechanic, making just $8.50 an hour. Back in 1992, the family lived in a small trailer park, and Aaron had to share a tiny room with his younger brother, Jared. But even in that rough place, something unusual started happening. When Aaron was just 10 years old, he took apart their broken lawnmower using a kitchen knife and a screwdriver. He didn't just fix it, he actually made it work better. It cut stronger and faster than before, about 15% more power. That wasn't luck. He had been secretly teaching himself by reading his dad's repair manuals every night, sometimes falling asleep with greasy pages still in his hands. By the time he was 8, Aaron had already learned how to drive on his grandfather's old 1968 Ford F-100 pickup truck. That truck wasn't just transportation, it became his little world, a place where he felt alive. The smell of gasoline and oil got stuck in his mind forever. That same truck would change everything later. At 12, Aaron turned the backyard into his own workshop. He built go-karts out of lawnmower engines and shopping carts. They weren't toys. Some of them could hit 35 miles per hour on regular streets. He taught himself welding using a borrowed stick welder. But then came his first real accident. In December 1994, one of his homemade exhaust systems blew up while he was testing it. Molten metal burned his arm so badly he needed 23 stitches. His right arm, his dominant one, was useless for 6 weeks. His mom wanted to take away his tools, but Aaron had already hidden more in an old shed behind the trailer. That same week, just 3 days before Christmas, the family had to spend their entire $200 holiday money on hospital bills instead of gifts. That memory stayed with him for life. When he got to high school in 1998, Aaron stopped showing up. He missed 127 days out of 180 in one school year. He wasn't lazy, he was working. For just $4.25 an hour, he fixed cars in unlicensed auto shops all around Dallas County. At 16, he took on a transmission rebuild that 3 certified mechanics said was impossible. Aaron did it in 11 hours and earned his first proper paycheck of $200. One day, the school principal searched his locker and found $1,400 in crumpled bills from weekend repair jobs. That was more than what most adults made in Crowley in a whole month. His shop teacher saw the gift Aaron had and secretly helped him stay in school by lying about his attendance. At night, Aaron would sneak out through his bedroom window and fix engines with a flashlight. He'd come home covered in oil and with burn marks on his arms. His parents thought he was hurting himself, but the truth was much deeper. At 18, in January 2000, Aaron dropped out of college after just 1 semester, even though he had a 3.7 GPA and a partial scholarship worth $3,200 per year. His dad was crushed. He had been working extra shifts just to pay for that tuition. But Aaron had already made up his mind. He was done with classrooms. One of his engineering professors had called his custom transmission design unrealistic, even though Aaron had built it in real life using only $50 in junk parts. What no one knew was that Aaron was already $4,800 in debt from buying tools, borrowing from loan sharks who charged 28% interest. His dropout meant the family lost power in their trailer for 3 months. They lit candles at night while Aaron searched for paying high-paying repair jobs to keep them afloat. Later that year, on September 12, 1999, Aaron took a huge risk. He raced a dirt bike he had modified himself. It had 78 horsepower, far more than its original 46. While trying to jump a 15-foot ravine at 65 miles per hour, he crashed. He shattered his right wrist in 3 places. Doctors had to put in 2 titanium pins and a cast. The surgery cost $8,400. The family didn't have that kind of money. They had to sell the one car they still owned, the same 1968 Ford F-100 that started it all. By 2002, something incredible happened. At just 20 years old, Aaron met a guy named Richard Rawlings at a Dallas garage. Richard saw the way Aaron worked and offered him a spot at his new shop, Gas Monkey Garage. That was the start of a 15-year partnership that would change both of their lives. Aaron became the lead fabricator. Gas Monkey had already existed for years, but Aaron's steady hands and creative mind turned it into something real. He wasn't just fixing cars. He was building the whole foundation of a brand that would soon be on TV. In 2008, Aaron took on a rusted 1968 Chevrolet Corvette as one of his first major projects. He rebuilt the Ford 27 big block engine, crafted new exhausts, and restored everything by hand. The car sold for $58,500 after only costing $8,500 to buy and fix. That $50,000 profit proved that Aaron was more than just a gearhead. He was a business genius. 2 years later, in 2010, he tried something even crazier. He took a 1970 Dodge Charger body and merged it with a Viper V10 engine. It was so difficult that they nearly lost the shop over it. The electronic systems didn't match. The costs exploded, and at one point, Rawlings thought about shutting down for good. But when the car finally came together, it won Best Modified Classic at the Dallas Autorama. In 2011, Aaron restored a 1972 Mustang using mostly recycled parts, including a 351 Cleveland engine from a wrecked Torino and seats from 3 different cars. But when safety inspections revealed that some parts were too worn out, Aaron and Rawlings clashed hard. Aaron accused him of caring more about profits than safety. It led to their first major argument and a whole new set of rules. The most dangerous moment came in October 2011. Aaron took his modified 1969 Chevy C10 to a drag strip. The truck had 720 horsepower. On one run, the engine exploded at over 6,800 RPM, sending metal flying everywhere. A woman named Maria Rodriguez was hit in the shoulder. She needed 18 stitches. Gas Monkey got sued for $75,000. The insurance company refused to cover it. Aron paid her bills out of his own pocket. That crash made him stop racing for 2 years. Aron Kaufman's journey with Fast and Loud started in June 2012, and right from the beginning, it pushed him to his absolute limit. In the very first episode, he was asked to rebuild a 1931 Model A Ford in just 9 days for a major swap meet. What viewers didn't see was the price he paid to make that happen. During season 1 alone, he and his team built 12 cars in 24 weeks, often working more than 110 hours a week. Aaron was so exhausted, he once fell asleep inside a car while cameras were filming. He had to shower with a hose behind the garage. Every week, he also spent 14 hours just commuting between Fort Worth and Gas Monkey Garage in northwest Dallas. In some scenes, he looked so tired he could barely keep his eyes open. It was clear this pace couldn't last forever, and by 2016, it didn't. One of the most stressful moments came in 2013, when the team took on a wrecked 1991 Ferrari F40. Richard Rawlings and Dennis Collins bought it for $400,000 after it was crashed into a fence. It had only 7,148 miles before the accident. Aaron led the rebuild, completely stripping it down with help from Ferrari experts. They upgraded everything: the twin turbos, exhaust, flywheel, clutch, and even added race wheels. But behind the scenes, arguments broke out. Richard kept overruling Aaron's choices. The finished car was painted black instead of Ferrari red, and although it became the garage's most famous build, it also made something painfully clear. Aaron and Richard had very different ideas about how cars should be built. Things got worse in 2016. Aaron was put in charge charge of the Di Tommaso Pantera EcoBoost build. It was one of the hardest projects they ever did, and it crossed a line for him. Aaron said the car was way beyond what could be done properly within the tight deadlines of a TV show. Even though he was only a couple of weeks behind schedule, he felt constant pressure to cut corners. The engine, a 3.5-liter EcoBoost with full race motorsports turbos, ended up producing 472 horsepower and 498 lb-ft of torque. But Aaron didn't care about the numbers. He cared about the work. The build went against everything he believed in. He realized then that the kind of cars he wanted to build were too big for television. That project became the fork in the road. Around that time, Aaron also began facing serious personal problems. Fame had started to wear him down. Panic attacks made him think about quitting in the middle of a season. He said the pressure was crushing. It affected his relationship with his girlfriend, his dogs, and even his employees. At one point, he had an emergency appendectomy, but came back to work just days later because the cameras kept rolling. His former colleagues said they worked such long hours that they forgot what normal life even looked like. Aaron was falling apart inside, but viewers only saw the cool, collected, bearded mechanic on screen. In 2016, the same Pantera build returned again as a sore point. Despite all the hard work, Richard criticized Aaron for being late. Behind the scenes, they fought over how much could realistically be done on a tight budget and deadline. Aaron accused Richard of making cuts that would hurt the build's quality. It was becoming more and more obvious that TV drama was winning over craftsmanship. Things finally boiled over in 2017 during a high-pressure motorcycle build. Richard tried to control every part of the project and constantly overruled Aaron in front of the team. Aaron shut his office door and pulled away from the crew. Then one day, he just walked off set in the middle of filming. Production stopped for 3 days while Discovery Channel tried to calm things down. But it wasn't just that moment. Tension had been building for months. Their friendship had turned into a boardroom negotiation, and Aaron had had enough. Then came something even more upsetting. Leaked documents in 2016 showed that Aaron, who fans considered the heart of the show, was getting paid far less than he deserved. Insiders said Aaron's work drove 80% of the show's success, yet his contract didn't reflect that at all. His net worth in 2021 was around $3 million, but Richard had made much more. Aaron later found out he was even training mechanics who were being groomed to replace him. That was the final insult. He realized he had been financially and creatively exploited. In 2017, he finally called it what it felt like, a creative prison. On a podcast, Aaron said the garage had become a TV set, not a place to build real cars. Every build was built for a camera, not the craft. Quality no longer mattered as much as drama. It broke his heart. He said he was trapped in a system where stories mattered more than skill. That same year, there was one last betrayal. During a custom semi-truck build, Aaron warned the team about serious safety issues, but Richard wanted the test drive done fast for good footage. The truck nearly failed on the road. Aaron was furious. He said he wouldn't keep working if lives were being risked for ratings. He felt like his name was being put on dangerous shortcuts he didn't believe in. Then, on March 6, 2017, Aaron quietly posted on Facebook that he was leaving Gas Monkey Garage. Fans were shocked. He had been planning the exit for over a year. He admitted he had been checked out for months. The post felt more like a breakup letter than a career change. He said the last 5 years felt like 20. The fan base exploded with emotion. No one saw it coming, but the drama didn't end there. In June 2018, Richard Rawlings got hit with a $6 million lawsuit from Gas Monkey Bar and Grill. He was accused of trying to sabotage a $3.5 million sale. Aaron was dragged into the mess as a key witness. The lawsuit revealed how badly things had fallen apart behind the scenes. The case ended in August 2019 when both sides settled, but the damage was done. When Aaron started his own show, Shifting Gears, in 2018, people had high hopes, but the show collapsed fast. Ratings dropped badly. Aaron looked tired on camera. He even told fans he was burned out. Reviews were harsh. People said the show was boring and that, without Richard, Aaron didn't have the same energy. It only lasted 12 episodes. Then came another another scandal. In 2019, clients sued him for abandoning $300,000 worth of custom car projects: a Ferrari F40, a 1969 Corvette L88, and a Shelby Super Snake Mustang. He had taken big payments and left before finishing them. One of the Ferraris was later seized in an unrelated fraud case. The lawsuits damaged his reputation badly. In 2020, things took one last surprising turn. Leaked emails showed that Richard tried to bring Aaron back with an offer that doubled his old pay and gave him full creative control. Richard told him to come back on his own terms. Aaron didn't even blink. He just said, "You chose TV. I chose building. That's the difference." And he walked away for good. When Aron Kaufman left Fast and Loud in 2017, most people thought he was making a bold move, but no one expected his very first chassis build under his new shop, ArcLight Fabrication, to shake the industry like it did. He built a custom chassis for classic Ford F100 trucks and sold it for $150,000. That number stunned the community because most complete F100 builds were going for less than half that, usually between $30,000 and $60,000. But Aaron wasn't just any builder. After working 15 years at Gas Monkey Garage, his fabrication skills had become something of legend. He used handcrafted suspension geometry, custom mounts, and welding that looked like it belonged on a fighter jet. Competitors didn't know what to make of it. Some said he was just charging celebrity prices. But the truth was, his work really did look like something no one else was doing. Then came disaster. In 2019, a fire ripped through ArcLight Fabrication and destroyed $50,000 worth of inventory. The worst part wasn't just the dollar loss, it was how it happened. Investigators found that faulty wiring caused the fire, and that wiring had been installed by Aaron himself. To save money, he skipped hiring a licensed electrician and wired the expansion by hand. That mistake nearly sank the shop. One employee had left welding gear plugged into the wall before the weekend. When it overloaded the circuit, the sparks caught fire. Among the items lost were rare Ford parts from the 1960s, including some Aaron had spent decades collecting. Even more shocking, ArcLight didn't have full insurance coverage. He paid the entire loss out of pocket, stayed open, and kept customer orders moving. But it cost him weeks of lost time and more than just money. Things didn't get easier in 2020. That year, Aaron offered electric conversion kits for the same classic trucks he built his name on. Instead of applause, the move sparked outrage. The kits used Tesla Model S batteries and cost between $35,000 and $45,000. But Ford purists weren't impressed. They said he was ruining history. At the 2020 SEMA show, Aaron got into a 45-minute argument with car historian Jerry Hathaway, who called the conversions sacrilege. Over 500 angry emails came in. Some customers canceled their orders, over $200,000 worth. Clubs threatened to boycott him. But then something surprising happened. A wave of younger buyers flooded in. Within 6 months, 150 people placed deposits for electric builds. The controversy made it clear the market had split. Aaron was now riding the edge between old-school restoration and modern innovation. In 2022, a behind-the-scenes interview revealed something Aaron had kept quiet. Back in 2018, he was just 60 days away from shutting ArcLight down for good. After leaving the show, he lost his $35,000 per episode paycheck, and his new company was buried under $750,000 in startup loans. Sales were slower than expected. He had to sell his personal race car, a 1963 Ford Falcon built for the Pikes Peak Hill Climb, for $65,000 just to make payroll. His loan applications were rejected by 5 banks. Debt-to-income ratios had ballooned to over 300%. Things only turned around after a partnership with Restamod Air injected $400,000 into the company. Even then, Aaron had already laid off 4 employees and nearly filed for bankruptcy. That story didn't air on TV, but it was real. By 2024, everything had flipped. ArcLight Fabrication wasn't just surviving, it was booming. The biggest moneymaker wasn't trucks, it was wheels. Aaron's custom F100 wheel line generated $2 million in annual revenue. Each set cost between $2,800 and $4,200. Influencers started using them on Instagram, and soon orders were coming in from places like Germany, Australia, and the UK. Shipping costs alone ranged from $800 to $1,200 per set, and customers still paid it. Online sales now made up 78% of ArcLight's revenue, compared to just 23% in 2019. Aaron had turned a local shop into a global e-commerce brand without any television backing. But behind the success, there were personal struggles. Rumors began in 2020 about trouble in Aaron's marriage to Charlene Fleming. They'd been together more than 10 years before marrying in 2018, but friends said his 16-hour workdays left little room for home life. He was seen at events alone, no ring. Close sources described arguments about him choosing work over family. In 2021, they tried therapy, but in recent interviews, Aaron kept quiet about whether they were still together. He wasn't just battling relationship issues. After leaving Fast and Loud, Aaron sank into a mental health crisis. In 2023, he admitted the fame crash hit hard. One day, he was on national TV. The next, he was just a guy in a shop trying to sell chassis parts. He had panic attacks. He doubted himself. For over a year, he went to therapy twice a week. EMDR sessions helped him manage anxiety from years of public pressure. Slowly, the fog lifted. Then came the health scare. In March 2021, while working alone late at night, Aaron collapsed in his shop. His appendix had ruptured. He was found unconscious at 3:47 a.m. next to a half-built F-100 frame. He was rushed to Dallas Presbyterian Hospital. The surgery took 6 hours because the infection had spread too far. A second emergency procedure followed after he developed peritonitis. ArcLight shut down for almost 4 months. The lost business totaled about $340,000. That close call forced Aaron to finally slow down. He hired more staff and promised never to work alone at night again. But just when things seemed stable, his crypto investments collapsed. In late 2021, Aaron had put $1.2 million into crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, even some car-themed altcoins. By mid-2022, he had lost 85% of it. That wiped out $1.02 million from his personal savings. To stay afloat, he mortgaged his Dallas shop and sold 2 of his rare F-100s, including a prototype from 1956 worth $180,000. The loss also forced him to delay his dream documentary project on Route 66 by more than a year. Finally, in November 2024, Aaron stepped back into the spotlight. At the CMA show in Las Vegas, he announced a new project that no one saw coming. He had secretly been buying cars linked to the history of Route 66. His plan was to restore 12 of them, including a 1949 Ford F1 and a 1962 Chevy Impala used in the original Route 66 TV show. He partnered with the National Park Service and the Smithsonian. Discovery Channel even reached out about turning the project into a new series. The budget for the project? Over $2.3 million. Part of it came from crowdfunding. The rest came from private collectors. It was his most ambitious project ever. At the same time, ArcLight started blending classic design with electric innovation. They began offering electric builds that looked like vintage trucks, but ran like Teslas. His Austin facility became a hybrid of old-school metalwork and modern battery tech. This strategy placed him at the front of a whole new market, sustainable hot rodding. As of 2023, his net worth was back at $8 million. His shop in Austin now handled full F-100 restorations priced between $75,000 and $150,000. He had brand deals with Magnaflow, Sierra Cars, and others. He raced at Pikes Peak. He drove a modified 2004 Ford F-150 every day to test new ideas, and he still produced his own shows. Every move was part of a bigger plan to stay in control, stay independent, and keep pushing forward. Aaron has spoken openly about how the TV spotlight changed him. He said working 110-hour weeks just to make drama for the camera wasn't what he wanted anymore. When he left Gas Monkey Garage, it wasn't just about business. It was about building things that truly mattered to him. Even today, despite all the setbacks and near collapses, he's still doing that.